Hey guys, got another tournament show on the Journey to National Master. It's been a long day, but hopefully some exciting games. Let's just jump right into it. So we got just base. So the first game was against a 1700. Got the sheet right here. I just got back. 1705. And I was white. I played d4. He played knight f6, c4, g6. So he's going into a King's Indian. And against the King's Indian, as if any of you have been watching my Tourney to 3000 series, I do the fiend-coded variation as I find... I don't know. I just like it. I think it's what I've always played against it. Bishop g6, d6, and this is very typical King's Indian type stuff. Everything is still in the opening. e4, e5. And here things start to go a little bit different. I think the main move, let me check the live book. No, d5 is not the main move. I did play the main move, knight g to e2. And my opponent went ahead and took, which I don't see very often. I see it a lot online, but I don't see it very often over the board. I usually see something along the lines of c6. But now here he took. Knight takes. They played knight c6, which is an interesting move, as it immediately damages his structure. But he's got some trade-offs to where now, since he's taken my knight here, or since he's gotten rid of his e-pawn, his bishop is very strong, and I might have some issues developing. I am a little bit behind in development. I've spent 2 moves developing this one piece, and he's going to get an extra tempo, as we'll see with the bishop. So he's going to be ahead in development, but in exchange for a damaged structure. And I have better control over the center. So I think I would evaluate my position as having a slight edge here for these reasons, but I'm going to go ahead and take. B takes. It's time to castle before it's too late. And then bishop e6, getting that tempo. And then here I play queen d3, which I'm going to turn off computer evaluations. The computer says that's a questionable move, but let me save the computer for after the game, because I think it's always better to review your games without the computer first. See what things you can find yourself, and then compare it. I think sometimes the computer can rob you of learning opportunities. But queen d3, I thought I played this move because basically I didn't see a way he could kick this easily. But as I sat here, he spent a little bit on this move. I didn't like the looks of knight b here. Because he's coming in, and if he comes in here with tempo, he's striking both these pawns at the same time. And I felt that was very awkward for me to handle. I almost have to move my queen again. But then here, and then I can't move this up as the pin comes, or as the activity gained from his bishop comes to light in that scenario. But he didn't play knight g4, but I'm guessing that's the reason why the computer doesn't like queen d3. He played queen d7, trying to trade off the light squared bishops, which, it's a good plan. The thing is, my bishop is just really... If it doesn't have a middle game attack from this, I feel like my bishop really isn't that good. I know it's my fiend-coded bishop, but all my pawns are going to end up in light squares here. And he's not really addressing his structural issues yet. So I'm not sure it's the best plan for him. I think knight g4 would have been killer here. But anyway, queen d7, I play b3, trying to get finish my development, as well as now proactively preventing this idea, because now I have enough time and this doesn't hit the hanging pawn. B3. I have no idea. Oh, it was bishop h6. Okay, so he's continuing with his plan, which is probably the correct thing to do. You shouldn't really... If you have a plan, and as long as the plan's not completely losing, you just got to commit to it, because going in between things is going to cost you against the better players. Bishop a3, then I finish my development. Bishop takes, king takes. And then he plays rook f to 8. And I respond, I'm guessing with the other rook. Yes. And then he finishes centralizing his rooks. And here I move, I was considering rook to d1. I was considering f3. But I felt like I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I've countered his bishop on this diagonal. Whoever opens up the bishop first, I feel like has a slight advantage there. And f3 is fairly committal. I feel like it's making my king potentially vulnerable later on this file. And I don't feel like I need to play it yet. Maybe I want to play f4 later. It just doesn't seem necessary yet, because this pawn, you know, it's not exactly happy, but it's not under dire threat yet. So I ended up going with knight h4, which is kind of a weird looking move. I'm not sure if the computer or a good player would prefer that move, but my reasoning behind it is it seems like he's going to play d5 to try to fix his structure, and in this scenario, like maybe c5 looks a little bit jumpable. And also, more importantly, I'm opening up my bishop. So now when his knight moves, we win his strongest piece. But our piece is also strong, I guess. So I felt like this was a good way to increase the pressure at the position. And that's my reason for playing it. Anyway, let's see the next move. After knight a4, he played queen c8. No, he played knight h5. Let me just, here we go, knight h5, bishop takes, knight takes. And then I complete my centralization, and now he plays queen c8. So here I think the game's fairly even, but the things to notice, I feel like I just have a stronger center. I have a good grip on the center, and he's got more pawn islands, so I think white's just slightly better here. Not that I know how to necessarily press his advantage, but I know how to just improve my pieces. That's going to be my focus. Not necessarily figuring out how to win the game right away, but look at all my pieces and go, how can I maximize my pieces against my opponent's structure? And so my first move is knight c3, re-centralizing my knight. My knight's no longer serving the same purpose on It's a non-committal move. It's not the longest time control. It's 60 minutes, 5-second delay. So this just feels like a generally good improving move. I'm reinforcing the center. And I'm improving my knight. My knight's centralized. Maybe now my queen's freer to maybe attack this pawn. His queen's kind of getting away from the center. Maybe I can build up with f5, f4. I don't know. I don't have like a very well-defined plan here, but I do have improving moves that I can make. So here my opponent latches out with f5, which I think is an example of just like an overzealous move. It reminds me of me thinking about f3 earlier. It's just I mean, maybe it's not bad, but I feel like in a slightly better position, you shouldn't be the one lashing out. Or in a slightly worse position, you shouldn't be the one lashing out. I feel like it's giving me potential play. It's giving me easier access to plans. And when I have control over the center, I feel like you should avoid that. So I ended up calculating a lot here. I was thinking about e5 and making e5 work. Mainly because if you notice, if he takes, this structure just seems really bad. Obviously, I can't play e5 right away, but that's my goal in the position now, is to prep e5. And I wasn't so concerned with f takes e4, because after knight takes, I'm definitely starting to eyeball a lot of these weak dark squares around his king. And I feel like my position's pretty solid after that. I really feel like all this is accomplishing is weakening his king. That is to be said, though. If he gets something like f4, f3 in, queen here, I mean, like, these are the threats that I am kind of eyeballing during the game. But I don't feel like he has enough tempo, because if f4 ever, I'm probably just going to play f3 and close everything down. And my position's still going to be fine. You're forcing me to commit to f3, but you've already committed your f-pawn anyway, so it's not the same as the reasons why I didn't play f3 earlier in the game. But anyway, here... sorry, I'm also thinking about c5. I think I dismissed e5. Sorry, my main goal is c5. I dismissed e5 because I was worried about queen b7. Sorry. So... I'm saying all this in the context knowing that I played queen d4. The reason I play queen d4 here is to support c5, and I want to bait out queen b7, getting his queen one step away from the center and then preventing this c6 pawn from moving forever. I felt like it was a good idea. Also, I'm looking at these squares as potential ways to jump into the position. And now if d5 as well, well, he wasn't going to play d5 there anyway. But if c5, I mean, that's just, he has way too many holes in the light squares. So I felt like queen d4 was a good intermezzo before. It was a good improving move before I commit to where I want to put my pawn. And again, if c takes f4, I just take with a knight. I think that's just a general improvement for me with tempo against this fork. But I don't think... Yeah, he doesn't end up responding to the threat. He doesn't play queen b7. He plays knight e6. I take the pawn, and then he plays a really strange move to me. He plays queen a8, which is really weird right after I won the pawn. I was actually... took a while to take the pawn because I was concerned about queen takes knight here, new variation. And now you'll notice that when he takes this, his queen will be coordinating with his knight against this square. So I almost have to play something like h4 here, where then knight takes, pawn takes, and the material's equal again. Now here I do have the outside passer, but it's not such a simple position. I was also considering queen d3. Let me just go through this line. I don't have to use arrows. I can just go through the variation here. Knight takes, pawn takes. I'm not sure if this is a great evaluation for me, but my plan would have been to double up and just try to focus down this pawn. But I think that's easier said than done. I think this would have been a better continuation for him than what happened in the game. Queen a8 just makes no sense to me because, I mean, the whole point of this move is to sacrifice a pawn for an attack, right? And then you're just giving up the attack. And I'm just in an endgame, a very comfortable endgame up a pawn, and you still have a worse structure. That's my thoughts behind that. I was also looking at this, but this I don't think works. Knight takes. I mean, we're suffering with the same. We lose a pawn. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I do think the outside passer will outperform his central passer in a lot of variations, but there's rooks and queens on, and it's like, I don't know. This position doesn't seem that great for me. So that's what I was thinking he was going to play. Maybe I should have considered this as well, but after queen takes, maybe this just isn't that much of a threat, but it certainly feels like a threat. Like something like rook takes, rook takes. I feel like I'm almost getting checkmated here, if not getting checkmated here. Maybe I just go, I don't know, am I getting checkmated here? Let me look at the computer. What does the computer think? Let me turn on the engine for this. I just want a quick analysis here. Yeah, black's slightly better here. I guess I'm not getting checkmated, but in order to avoid checkmate, I gotta make my position not so good. What about a move earlier? It says h5 is the best move. So it would just be playing against this pawn and then using the outside passer. So I can't really avoid that line. So that's what I thought he was gonna play, but queen a8 just seems like it loses pretty quickly. I take, rook takes, and my knight's already protecting a2, so I get another tempo to work with. I'm guessing the correct move is taking this f pawn and damaging his structure further. I played e5 during the game. I'm not super happy with this decision, but I felt like by diverting this pawn, I'd be able to get my majority and passer active quicker. That was my thought process anyway, and I didn't really care about this. But this move is a little bit probably unnecessary. I'd probably just take this and then win the game comfortably. But I'm making it slightly less comfortable for myself, and that seems to be a theme, is in these positions I try to imagine how I win after this obvious move, and I play a less obvious move for no reason. And I don't know why. I have no idea why that's in my thought process, but we played at e5, which is fine, I guess. But he has a really weird response to it. He goes rook back, and then I take, and I'm fully expecting him to fix his pawn structure, but he goes rook here instead, which is a move I didn't really understand and still don't really understand why he wouldn't take the opportunity to fix your pawn structure here. And he'd also be working towards getting a passer in the center, even though if my outside passer is still better. I mean, the position's still just definitely difficult to play. But I went ahead and played b4 here, just starting to work my majority down the board. He takes, I take with the rook. Taking with the knight would immediately lose to the discovery. And then he starts coming after my pawns a little bit. Rook b8. Checking my notes. Rook b8. What move is this? Move 26. Play a3. And then he plays rook a8. I play a4. And then he plays c5, b5, knight d4. And things are pretty comfortable. Now, I'm always going to be able to push this passer. The question is, how quickly can he threaten my pawns? And I'm not sure I've played this the best. Maybe I should have focused more on piece activity as opposed to just marching my majority up the board. But I'm sure this is still winning, like if I check the computer evaluation right now. But as you can see, our winning objective is just pushing our passed pawns down the board. But I've noticed now our progress has been relatively stalled. If I go something like rook here, he gets a nice tempo. Like maybe here. And then he stalled our progress and he's hitting our pawn. So rook a1 doesn't really seem like an option. So I decide to get our piece active with rook e1. And I saw during the game that you could play king f7 and pretty much block out our rook from the important squares. And when we play rook here, he goes back. But he didn't play that. He played king f8, which is a really weird move to me. Like, why give my... I mean, I guess, okay, he was looking at his knight was covering it. But in the future, why give my rook access when you didn't have to? So I go ahead and play rook here. After he moves his knight to protect the pawn, I play rook here. And I'm seeing that he can reroute to attack this. But I'm going to jump in here and then take both these pawns, and that's clearly winning. So he tries to do a shortcut to prevent that. I'm also eyeballing the idea of rook a6, because his king's not close enough to stop that, and his knight's not close enough, or can't really route correctly to stop that, especially with my knight here to just block his squares. So it doesn't work right now because he just doesn't have to take it. He can just move his rook, and then it's kind of awkward that I allowed his rook to be active after one move. But that's that. His next move, I was fully expecting knight d2, at which point I would do my original plan of taking both these pawns and then sacrificing this pawn. But he plays knight a5, and this fails to the aforementioned rook a6 because he can no longer avoid the trade. He has to take it or lose a minor piece, and he takes it. And then he plays knight c6. Note, if he takes this pawn, new variation, we win with knight here, as he can no longer access the point he needs to defend promotion. If we jump straight to this, he stops the pawn, and maybe we're not winning here. Yeah, we might not even be winning here. I think it's more equal. It's probably equal. But the key is that we have knight d5 here, and now he can no longer stop it. If he kicks our knight, we promote it anyway. And his knight does not have access to b6 for 2 moves, which is all we need. It's 2 moves. So he plays knight c6, but this just fails to knight b4. Starts bringing the king in, trades. And the game goes on for like 20 moves, but we just take all his pawns and win pretty easily from there. So that was round 1. That was today. This was a Rob Sunday chess tourney. I'll link the UCF to cross table. So we're going into round 2 with 1 win, and there's actually only this is an 8-player tournament, 3 rounds, 60 minutes, delay 5, and of all the 8 people, only me and one other person had a win the first round. Everyone else drawed or lost. So going into the second round, I'm the second highest rated player in the tournament from the initial seeding. And so going to the second round, we're playing a newer player, but they are already 1800, so that's pretty scary. Let me create a new board. Is this the board that we're looking at? Okay. And I'm playing black, so let me flip the board here. So that was game 1. We won game 1. Opponent, game 2, is 1-0. And they play e4, to which I respond with the Sicilian, which is what we always play. And I play d4, which is usually the introduction into the Smith-Morra, which if they went into the Smith-Morra, we would go knight f6 and try to transpose into our Alapin line, so that way we only have to prep, like, we don't have to deal with all the Smith-Morra prep, although Smith-Morra is theoretically not sound. And in a longer game, I know people say you shouldn't, but I think you should take if it's a rapid game, I don't think you should ever take the gambit, but if it's like a 120-minute game and you've looked at it before, I think you should be taking the gambit, because they generally just have a favorable position. But they didn't play that. They transposed back into normal Sicilian stuff with knight f4. We play e6. We play knight d4, and then the Taimanov, which is what we typically do. yeah, this is just a normal position. But then they play a very weird move that I don't think I've ever seen before. But it's not that uncommon. They played bishop f4. And I spent a lot of time on my clock trying to figure out what to play. And I played d6, which I think is the most popular move, judging by what I'm seeing. And then they just played knight c6, b takes c6. And yeah, this is a little weird for a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but I think our position's just straight up solid here. They play c4. And, okay, the computer wants e5, which this I can understand because we kind of want to prevent them from playing e5. And if we play e5 here, we kind of get what's it called, a Sveshnikov? I think it's called a Sveshnikov, where you end up with the pawn here, the bishop here, and you play for d5. Although in that other line, I'm pretty sure there's not usually a pawn on c4 there, but not sure. Not really familiar. I don't really go into that too much. There is one line with knight b5, and apparently this line too, because I've never seen this before in my life. But we did not play that. We just started developing our pieces, which seems to be neglecting the threat of e5. But we got away with it. So we both develop. Then I go bishop e7. He goes bishop e2. Then I castle, castle, and now I play e5 finally. And this game apparently has a very good win rate for white. But I'm actually pretty comfortable in my position. I feel like I just have a strong center. I don't know. And my opponent plays a really weird move here. Bishop c1, which I just don't think can be correct. Obviously, it looks super weird. It just doesn't seem like a critical line in any way you look at it. But their idea is to reroute the bishop to this long diagonal, but they aren't going to get the chance because we have play. We have play now. They've given us play. We play bishop e3. It's just, when you play non-critical moves, it's like you don't have to know why they're non-critical. You just know that they aren't. And then it kind of opens up your range of options. You're like, okay, my opponent isn't on the cutting edge, if that's one way to think about it. Like, especially when they're playing white, they've kind of given up their initiative. I would think bishop g5 would be played here, or bishop e3, but putting your bishop all the way back to c1, I mean, that's where it started. And you have to fix your bishop now to get your rook out. And now I know pretty much 100% that you're going to be playing g3 here, so I can also plan around that. Sorry, b3. So it's like, by playing this move, now I know like what your next couple moves are going to be, pretty much. And I'm pretty okay with it. I can pretty much build a plan around that. So I play, so I just played bishop c1. And I played bishop e3. So what do you play after this? Sorry, bishop e6. And then he played b3, as we expected. And now I'm playing knight d7. Hinting at f4. I'm guessing he was thinking that I was going for d5 here, which is a consideration. If I play d5, c takes, c takes, e takes, knight takes, knight takes, queen takes, queen takes, bishop takes. This sort of position I didn't like because he has the queen side majority, although it probably is pretty equal. I feel like if enough pieces get trade off, his queen side majority will be superior to my king side majority, simply because he'll end up with the outside passer. But pieces don't necessarily have to come off. There's still a lot of pieces on the board, but it just seemed pretty equal and pretty boring. Pretty not exciting, but maybe that's just my tiny brain. Just an open position. Each side has a majority. I'm guessing this is dead equal in the computer's eyes. Let me just check real quick. White's slightly better. So that's why I didn't play d5. I felt like it just liquidated into non-very favorable circumstances. So by playing knight here, I'm kind of signifying that I'm not playing d5. And my opponent caught on to that, and they respond with bishop g4, which is a move that is intended to counteract f5. He's now, say it continues with here, new variation. Now I get f5 in. Oh, the computer. Okay, I'm turning off the computer again. Now f5 here. Takes. Now I feel like I have d5 coming and a lot of center control, and I get to fix my bishop, which was previously my worst piece. Yeah, so I'm pretty much signifying that I'm playing for f5 after knight d7. Knight d7. So he plays bishop g5, g4 to prevent that, because now if f5, he just simply walks back, and this piece is hanging with check, which is never good. So I continue to divert my plans. I'm now going to knight c5, and now if he takes, my knight's going to be jumping into one of these two squares pretty comfortably. And I'm thinking about even playing c5 and just creating this huge outpost, this mega knight, if you will. If he ever takes it, I get a protected passer. I feel like that's structurally a good thing to be doing. Yeah, so that's my thought process behind the last two moves, which is what was played in the game, knight c5. It also kind of discourages knight b7, because then I can take, so knight here, I can take, and then maybe I have this stuff. Maybe I'm just harassing his bishop, and yeah, it seems good for me. So he's discouraged from taking, and he's discouraged from doing his original plan. So it's super awkward, I feel like, for him to play here, and he has to be super careful. And I think they came up with a good move with f4. This is not what happened in the game. They played f4. Yep, they played f4, promote variation. But I think f4 runs into a problem of weakening this diagonal, and I get some tempos to work with. So I go ahead and play queen b6. I'm not sure I played super accurately here, because I don't know, just based on what happened in the game, I kind of felt like I overextended myself. Obviously they can't do something like this because, okay, just as an example, they lose immediately. Like, this is not going to be any good for him. Threatening stuff like this. He can't develop his bishop to where he wants it to, and I have a massive center here. And I think I can win this position pretty easily. We're up. Well, hang on. What happened? Oh, I lost an extra piece. Maybe they should have gone for this then. What's wrong with an f5 here? Surely there's something wrong with f5 here. Knight takes. Oh yeah, it wasn't. It was knight takes here. Yeah. Okay. Knight takes here. Queen moves off. Oh, queen comes here. Oh no, I just thought this was super bad for him, but now I'm like, is it though? I mean, surely it has to be, right? What about like bishop takes? Bishop takes. Well, that just seems horrible. Yeah, but my whole idea is this discovery, and they didn't play f5, so there you go. I don't know why that evaluation would be. I just did f5 as throwaway move, and now I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, is it really? I mean, this is depressing. Okay, I do win a piece here. Maybe it's just as simple as moving back. Queen takes. Queen here. Queen takes. I mean, this has to be winning for me, right? Pawn, bishop. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm favorable in this position, at least. This throwaway line that I've put down. But anyway, that's the whole point. I play queen b6, threat stuff like that. Which is here. Queen b6. And there's a lot of lines where if he doesn't take with the rook, I checkmate him. So, or if they don't take with the rook, I checkmate him. What is the next move? Knight f2, check. Queen takes. King h8. This is not the line. Queen b6. Where are we at? Can I remember what move he played? He played queen f3, I think. Yes, to block the knight from coming in. Which makes a lot of sense. No, it doesn't. That's not what... I'm so confused. I'm so confused. What happened? Queen b6. Where's queen b6 at? Okay. He played king h, or they played king h1, and I just overwrote all my changes. King h1, new variation, promote variation. There we go. Nope, promote variation. Okay, king h1 was played to avoid the aforementioned checks. And here I go ahead and do what? Okay, I do the thing where I do queen takes, and now I jump in as previously shown in one of those other variations. Now I am really threatening this because it comes with a fork. And he can't walk back because that'll lead to checkmate. Just an example, like queen anywhere else. If he doesn't want to lose the rook or the exchange. Smothered mate, typical idea. So things like that. So we get to jump in, and now he goes queen f3, and here I go queen d4 because I don't want to retreat, but admittedly this might be an overextension, as this knight seems a little bit awkward to hold on to, but for the moment I'm getting a tempo. If he just ignores it, and not that. If he just ignores it and starts pushing, or sorry, if he tries to win the knight, we get the rook with tempo. So that's why that doesn't work. So our queen's getting in there. Things are like seem on the verge of me just completely breaking through, but it's not quite there yet. It's not quite there yet. So they end up playing bishop here, which I think is the best move, as bishop b7 hangs the bishop, so that would be a sensible reason. And now I play a pretty terrible move here, I think. I play f5. I was calculating for a long time, and I saw things like knight takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, knight here, and I just wasn't liking what I was seeing. And so in my head I thought, well, if my rook's open, then maybe I have better lines, but I ended up just playing just a horrible move. Well, I don't know if it was super horrible. It was probably horrible, let's be honest. It was probably horrible. I'm hesitant to see what the computer thinks about it, but we might have to find out. But I played f5 here, and yeah, I don't know what I was looking at, but I still fall victim to the same knight e2 line, except now I'm losing an extra pawn, and like I feel like everything's hanging and nothing really works. Like, for example, I was looking at lines where knight takes, bishop takes, and rook here, but this also fails to bishop takes, rook takes, bishop takes, and it's just like nothing is super fantastic. So I just do bishop takes, pawn takes. He can't take with a queen yet because the knight will hang, but he might be able to take queen here and also just be fine, although the knight hangs, so never mind. I don't know why I thought that. But he goes knight d3 to win the pawn, and then I come up with queen e3, which I'm pretty sure loses, but they I promote this is the main line. I promote it again and again and again. Here we go. So they took, which I think loses for them, because now they can't win this. They're not going to be winning this passer, I don't think. Or at least they didn't in the game. Maybe there's a way that they can. But queen here, I think they just have knight takes. And if I do queen takes, rook takes here, I think they have knight here. And they, never mind, I made that all up. I'm winning the knight back. Okay, so my position was better than I thought it was here. I saw that during the game. I thought I was just losing. But I guess it's not so simple. I think I'm... Okay, the material's even here. But I have a more active king for the moment. I'm going to generate a passer. I don't know, this has to be pretty equal. But I think I'm on the better side of equality here. But anyway, none of that happened. He took with the queen. Now, admittedly, if the pawn was still in e4, maybe we can't protect this as well. But we end up protecting with the bishop. I don't know. And maybe we can play f4 here anyway. Now, and maybe it's less risky, but it just felt like a really bad move to play f5 when I did. But let's continue with the game. Oh, man. Queen takes e3. He plays rook here. Play rook here. And then I thought he was gonna, for a split second, I thought he had something like knight here. Or sorry, I thought they had something like knight here. But this fails because noticeably, when the pawn moves forward, it will fork both things. And I feel like once I saw this, I was pretty confident that my position was going to be pretty solid. So he attacks the pawn, sensible, and I go bishop here to defend it. And now I was 100% sure what they were going to do is sacrifice a useless edge pawn for my main passer with h4, or I have to take it, because if I don't, they're going to go g5, and I'm going to lose the pawn anyway. So I take, and rook takes, and here I would still say I'm better, just because I have the bishop, and I'm generating another passer pretty quickly, but I don't know, I feel like it's better than what happened during the game for them, where they didn't play this. They went here, and then they went king g1. And here, I think, I looked at h5, and I still think that's the best move. But for some reason, I didn't play it. I was just very excited to get this structure here. I'm still giving them the option to bail out with h4, and I think h5 cuts it off. Note, if he goes here, maybe yes here. I was going to say I have h4, but if he can go here, maybe it's not good at all. Yeah, okay, so maybe I didn't make the right decision with d4, d5, I mean. So I play d5. He takes, I play rook takes. I want to get a pair of rooks off the board. He obliges, or they oblige, and play rook d1. No, they don't. I have no idea what was played here. I write this variation. Cancel. So I just took, and they played g6, that's right. So that way they free their rook up to go there. And then here, I go rook here, they go the other rook, and I support it again. And here, I feel like I've played very badly because he's just getting super active. Now, I see that, sorry, this was not the move. Overwrite, promote. So I feel like I'm ahead here, but admittedly my connected passers have been pretty well stifled by his play, and should be concerned about the deflection here, which I am. I should be playing g6 right away, and then the difficulty is, how do I get my king in here? I think I have to play rook d3 and then literally walk my king all the way over here, or do something on this side. But the difficulty is, I think it's very difficult for my king to get active here. And if my king isn't getting active, how am I breaking through this? Because all my pieces are tied down to defending my connected passers. I know this position's better for me. I know it. But how do I make progress is a whole nother matter entirely. And I don't think I'd played very well for quite a while. There's always some weird, like, okay, first off, he can never take this, ever. Because even if he gets his king here, takes, and trades off both pieces, my pawn will always promote, because his king will be here, and I'll have here with the tempo. So that's just something to consider. I think I go king here, which is a pretty big mistake, I think. It just allows them to play g5, but they don't. They go king here, and now I play g6, so now I think g5 is still a threat, but maybe I can go f4 here. Well, if they played g5 before, I would have gone f4, so yeah, I'm not sure. Well, if they ever go here, I go king, rook here, and so they can't take. Or they can, I don't know. No, they can't, because if knight takes, bishop takes, and then I promote. It's very hard, but the main thing is, I was pretty sure I messed it up, and then I looked at their clock, and they had like 10 seconds left, so with 5 seconds delay, that pretty much means I'm going to win the game, although they played a lot of moves, as you'll see after this. But here they go, king here, I take, and I go here, and now I think they notice that they can't take this ever. No, knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes, king takes, I promote. So that's where that's going. So we do a whole bunch of shuffling, and then I play hang on, I think they go like a3 here or something. I don't know, there's some weird move. I didn't write this all down very well because it was kind of a time scramble, but I will say they played h3. But what happened was, I went, oh no, they didn't, they played b4. Sorry, I do remember now. Promote this variation. So what happened was, after they played b4, I thought I was winning the game, because I was going to go rook c8, knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, pawn here, rook here, and then rook c4. Sorry, rook c4, and they can't stop the pawn as their rook is pinned, and takes, we get a queen. Now, I didn't see that, admittedly. That was pointed out to me after the game. But the reason I played rook c4 was because I was going to go rook here and win a minor piece. But as you can see, they just have king takes, and I'm winning nothing. In fact, my game is losing after I trade off all the pieces. So disaster, we have blundered all of our pieces. But also note that this line doesn't actually work, because they have check first and then king here. So I've actually made my position worse by moving my king to h6 and then going for this. So I would probably have to go here. So anyway, I play rook here, they take, and now I'm losing both these pawns. But it's a time scramble. I think my position is probably worse here now, although I do have the bishop, and I'm also winning some material. So they do king takes, and now I do rook takes. And you know what? I would say it's pretty even, but I am way ahead on the clock. So in the time scramble, basically, knight here, rook here, rook here. I think this pawn was on a3. I don't know when that happened. I think there was a bunch of shuffling that happened earlier in the game. But all this is kind of like time scramble slock. None of it really matters. I end up winning this pawn. I think I just go here. It's like very, like, I'm just playing random moves because it was just a time scramble. I didn't write any of this down, but let me just get to where the game ended. I ended up winning both those pawns, but losing my A pawn with something like this, blah, blah, blah. Let's just go king here, rook takes, king here, bishop here, rook here. Sorry, not rook there, rook takes. I'm just playing a random line. H5. They want rook here. I want rook here. Let me shuffle one move because I think this is the position. Nope, it's not the position. I want rook here. They went knight here. I went h4. They went knight here. And here I go king g3, and they took, again, they had like 2 seconds left on the clock. And also my rook was not on. Let me just do a shuffle move. There you go, my rook was here. And then they played knight here, and I played king up. Knight f6, rook here. And we, I'm not sure which, I think they went this direction, new variation. And then I took, they went check, and there's no really any way to prevent this from winning. So they just pushed the pawn down the board. And I was, well, here in this position, I was considering takes, but that fails entirely. And also, I was up a tempo here, so I don't know what happened. Oh, right, I was considering takes here, okay, because now I'm not up a tempo. I didn't play G2 yet. But if takes, king takes, I think this is a draw. Oh, no. It is a win. Comes with check. Comes with check. Did not see that during the game. Yeah, I didn't see that during the game at all. I thought we were both getting queens, but I didn't see that. I came with check, so that was also fine, but this is also winning. Well, not that. Definitely not that, but I went rook h1, and now he just has no moves left. Even if he promotes this, I'm still getting a queen. And the only way I can promote it is if he somehow invests his knight over here. Maybe like this. Oh, well, maybe that's interesting. But if he goes knight here, then I go rook here, and that's also fine for me. Anyway, that's how the game ended. So that's game 2. It's a 3-round tournament, so we are the only undefeated person left in the tournament. And that person was rated 1885, but they hadn't even gotten their 25 games in yet, so it was a pretty good result. I was pretty happy with that. Anyway, let's go to the last round. This one was versus a 2036. They were 1.5 out of 2, where I was 2 out of 2. I've played them in the past. I think I've had 1 draw and 1 loss. Not rated games, but just club games. I was pretty nervous going into it. I'm always nervous when I win. It's like the last round of the tournament. And I feel like this game will affect the rest of my day pretty much of how it goes. It doesn't really matter how anything else went. It's like this game is the one that matters. And it's also the hardest game, so that's probably not a great way to look at it. But anyway, I'm playing white, so I play d4. Again, they play knight f6, c4, e6, and now I usually play knight f3, but again, as you've all seen, I have been very comfortable with the Nimzo lines, with the positional e3 and then going for an attack. Probably would have lost if he played that, but if he doesn't have the line, then maybe not. But he goes right into the Queen's Gambit declined, and I'm very comfortable because we're going to end up in the Carlsbad structure. I go Queen G5, or sorry, Bishop G5. He goes Knight D7, and as I mentioned in the last episode, now that the knight's here, the bishop can't get out as easily, so I go ahead and exchange. And then play E6. And I'm going with the same setup I played in the last episode, where I'm kind of hinting at the Botnovic pawn break, but my secret plan, my super secret plan that I say I'm going to stop playing but never do, is bishop takes and b4. But I have a really good reason for playing it in this game, I promise. But he plays bishop e2, play bishop b3, castles, knight here, he plays rook e8, which is kind of weird to me. I think you want to play c6 first, because by not doing that, I think he leaves himself vulnerable to it makes my crappy idea look better, basically. But anyway, I castles, and he does the knight f8 maneuver. And as I did last game, I immediately take. This is not a sound idea, although it's more sound because he hasn't played c6 than in the other game that I showed. So bishop takes, now b4. The idea is to get the minority attack in as quickly as possible. And he plays c6 here, which I don't think is a good move. I think maybe he was looking at c5, but we can just take it, because notice that I stopped developing my knight to knight f3. I now go to e2. So the knights are protecting each other, so I can just take on c5, which is usually the response to an early b5. So we go ahead and play b5, and plays knight e3, b takes, b takes. And now here, we start to get into what I would consider the best chess I've ever played. Yeah, I was pretty confident with my position here, because we just have our objective is way further along than his. I don't even know what he's playing for here, but we're gonna pile up on these weaknesses pretty quick with the amount of pieces we still have left. And again, because we didn't wait for him to bait out with h6, we have this extra tempo with queen c2. So I play queen c2. I was looking at other moves, but notice my position is still a little bit vulnerable. For example, knight a4 right away, we run into c5. The computer, I think, recommends rook b1, just stepping out of the way of this pin, which is, as you'll see, becomes quite a feature in the position later on. And by later on, I mean right away, because after we play here, he plays c5. Which is a move that maybe I should have taken longer to look at, but it just doesn't make much sense to me. Basically, his idea is to open up the position for his bishops, I'm guessing. Which makes sense. But it just loses a pawn here, because again, this is hanging with check, but I don't take that right away, because if I take king here, takes, I'm worried about like just b5, and like, yes, I know I can take twice here, but is that really something I want to go into? Or I feel like I am up a whole lot of material here, but come on, I don't know, that's probably good for me. I mean, I'm getting 4 pawns for the piece. It's kind of later on, I don't know. For some reason, then I just didn't want to go for it. I don't think it's correct to go for that either, but we take first. Now if he defends, I'm just going to hold on to this passer, and I think I'm probably going to win the game, but he takes. We take, king goes here, and we go bishop f5. And here he played a move very quickly, and I think it was his plan from the start, was bishop a6. And now notice that both of my knights are very uncomfortable, as they're both pinned to rooks. So, for example, a move like this loses immediately. Bishop takes, knight takes, and we lose the exchange. And if queen takes, the bishop takes the knight. And that happens on both sides. So if I go here, bishop takes, rook takes, queen here, and this is very uncomfortable, to be sure, especially with the rooks going to be coming in, and also he's hinting at d5. There's a lot of reasons to be uncomfortable here. And for example, like rook d here takes, and we are going to be losing a rook. But guess what? I said this was some of the best chess I ever played. I played rook d1, which is the best move in the position. And you might be asking yourself, doesn't it just lose a knight? And the answer is yes. But I'm looking at ideas of when the bishop takes here to start looking at these squares around his king. And I looked at this for a long time, and I played rook d1, and basically said, we're going all in. I'm very uncomfortable with the amount of initiative he's gotten in this very short span of time, by the way. He sacrificed one h-pawn for this huge initiative with all of his bishops. And so I'm basically like, I feel like if I just ignore this threat, I'm going to get absolutely bulldozed. Very creative play by my opponent. He's basically sacked one pawn that doesn't matter for a huge initiative. But I'm going to sack a knight that doesn't matter for a huge initiative, because here he takes bishop here. I take queen here. Bishop takes. So we're down a knight. But here I go queen, h5. And you might be asking yourself, well, this isn't checkmate. No. But it is a huge initiative. So he goes king here. And now I play not queen h7, but rook takes d5. Notice that the queen cannot take because of the discovery. And why can't the queen take? Alright, he can't go here. Right? No, he can. I'm like, I was so confident. Now I'm like, what the hell? No, it has to be here. Bishop takes, king takes. Well, king here. Queen takes. Bishop takes. I don't know, maybe this is the position. I feel like I'm missing a move here. But anyway, that's not what happened. But that was my idea behind rook takes, is I didn't think he had queen takes. Which I'm still pretty sure he doesn't have queen takes. Let me actually look at the computer. Why doesn't he have queen takes? I mean, okay, queen takes, bishop here, king here, queen takes, bishop takes. Oh, queen just goes back, and we're gonna checkmate him. Right. What about rook protects? Queen here. That's not the move. Oh, bishop takes. Then we win a rook. And after we take the rook, we win the knight with check. And this is completely winning. Okay. There you go. That's the solution. But anyway, he doesn't take. I think the best move is queen f6 by the computer. And I think the best move is something along this line of pinning the queen and getting some material on due to the attack. But he doesn't do that. He takes the bishop. So he takes the rook, which is completely losing. And then we take the queen. He goes rook takes. Let me promote this line. Queen here. King here. It's not what happened. It's bishop here, king here. And then I think the reason he went into this line is because he saw that he had 2 rooks and 2 minor pieces for a queen and a minor piece. So I think he thought he was winning here, or at least fine. But he's not able to keep on to the knight. Notice if he goes here, we go here, and he's forced in the same line anyway. Right? Oh, now I'm confused. Because I can't take here, because the king will take the bishop. Why am I so confused with these lines? Turn the computer back on. It's very late. It's like 1 a.m. White is winning. Oh, we go bishop here. Oh, right, because bishop here threatens checkmate. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Okay. Alright. Turn the computer off. We don't need that shit. Okay, king f8. Anyway, he plays king f8, so we don't have to deal with that. And then we play bishop c2, blocking checkmate. And at the same time, threatening bishop a4. And after this, we're just winning here. But I feel like we didn't play exactly the best combination of moves to win the game immediately. I'll just play out the rest of the moves based on what I remember. You went knight king here. And then I'm like, where did I go? Oh, I went f4 here. Completely boxing out this bishop. He went rook here. I probably should have taken first, but I went bishop here. And then here, because I'm threatening takes and then checkmate. But I'm allowing his rooks to get active. Oops. Which they do. So king here, rook here, king up. And then he goes rook here to threaten check and takes and all terrible things. But here I just take the g pawn. I was calculating if checks, go king here, check, and then he runs out of checks, and we're gonna be checkmating him. So that's why I played that. And if rook takes here, queen takes, rook takes. Even though it's opposite color bishops, we got 3 extra pawns. That should be enough to win. And a connected passer and our own bishop. But yeah, it should be enough to win. I don't think you can stop everything on the same diagonal when they're spread out. But who knows? Maybe I don't even take. Actually, I don't think I take. Yeah, I don't think I take that rook. I think I just. Yeah, there's no reason to go into the end game. I think I'm just checkmating him here. Well, not with that move, obviously, but I don't know. Anyway, I know I had like a bunch of. The computer was like checkmate, checkmate, but I never checkmated him because it was always like a ridiculous. I don't know. For some reason, I couldn't coordinate it, or I felt like he was getting too much activity. But after I take here, they take a2. And then I try and figure out how to checkmate him. Did I play there? I don't know. Yes, I did. Again, notice that king here, I think, is checkmate. Bishop here. But let me promote this variation as it is the main variation. Plays king f8, and here I just played b6. And I think checkmate's coming pretty much no matter what. I'm giving myself shelter for my king. I don't want him to be able to take this with check. And with this shelter, I should have enough tempo to either run my king up or organize some sort of checkmating net with my bishop and queen. Which I think was always the issue, is where I never felt like I could get my king away from checks if he rooted me out of here and then just went here forever. and something awkward with the bishop and something awkward from the different angles, and I was never comfortable, but I don't know. But after I played b6, he played bishop d4, and I have no idea what the idea is behind this move at all. But I just went queen here and takes, and he resigned. So we went 3-0 in the tournament and won $190 or so. Let me go do my thing. Here we go. We did it today. So we're 1975. Our rating goal is 2200 to get National Master. Hopefully we can do it before I die, which is, we got like 70 years, 50 years. Yeah, hopefully we got enough time to achieve my goals. We'll be playing a lot more tournaments. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I feel like I didn't do that last game justice, but I felt like it was some crazy chess. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.